you mentioned though in there a little bit briefly what your three goals you said that you're running on, essentially.
Yep.
Your three goals if you do get elected that you want to fix certain areas.
Yep.
Elaborate on those, please, for everyone.
The three issues of my campaign this go around is the wireless 911 system, as well as pipelines and broadband access for
Okay.
not just Douglas County, but the entire state of Nebraska.
Got it. Well, that's foreign language to me, so let's break and for everyone else probably. So let's break those down. So
Yeah.
the first one.
One of my
Whichever one
big
you wanna talk
ones is the broadband access, because
Okay.
as we all can relate, the cellular service is something that we all use. It's part of our everyday life. Broadband access gives people statewide access to faster internet service and stuff like that. So growing up in rural Nebraska, I understand the issues of having access to proper internet systems and stuff like that. So
It's not just cell towers then. It's also
yeah,
you're talking
there's
about the actual
hotspots and
cables
stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
They're getting more out of the copper, but yeah, the fiber wire and stuff like that.
The wire. Okay. So would you be working with like Cox and
Yep.
CenturyLink? Okay.
Yep. Cox, CenturyLink, all the big
Now-
telephone companies or telecommunication companies.
Got it. Now that's statewide though, you said.
Yep.
But you're only District 2.
I
so
cover District 2, but I'll be working with the rest of the commissioners on
Okay.
those issues.
Got it.
I'm already talking with some of the companies such as like Cox and Windstream and stuff like that, just to kind of figure out what the issues that they're having. That way when I get elected in November, I can already know what's going on. So
I love the confidence. I do. I admire that.
Yep. There's no room for error.
You're a very
so-
competitive guy, I know.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you totally revamped Granite City's whole marketing strategy, I know, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough, obviously. But we won't go too far into that. So telecommunication and broadband access statewide. Pipelines, you said.
Yep.
So what are your objectives and goals for that?
I'm a big supporter of the pipeline industry because of the big job creations it has.
Okay.
Because I'm all about job creations and building the economy and stuff like that. So I support the pipelines for the job creations, the tax revenue that it brings in. It brings in millions of dollars in tax revenue for the local cities that they go through, the local areas that they go through, as well as if you want to compare it to the green industry and the people that are, that want to go green and all that stuff.
Sure.
The pipelines are actually the cleanest and the quickest way to get
Really?
things through. Because if you think about it, if you're going to do oil, if you're going to ship it, the cost, if there's an oil spill there,
Sure.
it's outrageous. Plus all of the marine life, it's going to affect.
Right.
Yeah, if
people
you
eat a lot of fish.
exactly. Rail cars.
Mhm.
If you think about that, if one of those go, that
Collapse
entire
and-
tank, and you're not going to have one, you're going to have multiple tanks that are going to
Flip
topple
over or
over.
whatever. Uh-huh.
Exactly. And then of course, if you want to go truck, you have
Car
the
accidents.
exhaust,
Yeah,
car
everything,
accidents. There's no way to transfer these materials 100% without any cause of issue. So if you think about all of the aspects of each way that you would transfer
Right.
these not chemicals, but liquids, so you have your oil, your gases, your waters, and all that stuff.
All the natural resources,
Exactly.
yeah.
The different ways to transport it, a pipeline is the way that makes sense the most. It's the easiest way
Huh.
to regulate it, to be able to keep an eye on it. Yes, you're going to have spills,
Always.
but you're going to have accidents. You're going to have oil spills everywhere. It's just part of it. There's no way to 100% guarantee that there's no accident.
What would the spills? How could the spills happen with a pipeline? Like they get punctured?
Leaks,
Sure.
stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, just leaks. Like there was one up in, I believe it was North Dakota, where there was like 380,000 gallons of oil that leaked out
What?
before they were able to stop it. Myself, I
That's
would
so
question
much.
how that wasn't caught way
I
beforehand.
would too, yeah.
I haven't really looked into it that much yet.
Sure.
Because I'm curious exactly how did that not
Right.
get caught.
Because we want to learn
There's-
from past mistakes, even if they are our mistakes, obviously.
Exactly, because then you're able to stop them along the way. And the way technology is today, I don't understand why something like that wasn't recognized.
Sure.
Was it getting the equipment there? Was it
Yeah, I have
somebody
no
just
idea.
not paying attention? We need to figure that out so that we don't have that happen again in the future.
Right.
Because a lot of these pipelines go through state parks and stuff like that. So, you know,
and that's why
what-
people don't like them.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the big issue they're having.
Wasn't there another issue with it going through like Native American territory somewhere?
Yeah,
What was that?
that was, I believe that was just a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
They,
Yeah, I remembered that pretty recently.
yeah, they were afraid, I believe, that if there's a leak, it was going to go into the aquifer and stuff like that, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Which I mean is a valid thing to worry about.
Sure.
Again, that's people's livelihood there. But between then and now, technology has gone so much
Expanded.
further, expanded,
Mhm.
that, in my opinion, we should be able to detect those leaks before they happen.
Right.
In my
You
opinion.
also mentioned something that is a pressing issue for everywhere, of course, but also especially our state, tax revenue.
Yes.
So, like you said, it creates jobs, it creates taxes for the communities that the pipe goes through. That could be, I guess that's a sales, me just being a natural salesman, that I think, well, that could be a good sales pitch in, you know, a pro pipeline
Yep.
initiative.
Yep.
So pipeline, broadband, and then you said 911
Yep.
emergency services?
Yep, the wireless 911 system that they were, over the last couple of years, they've been voting on to try to expand the service across the state.
Now, if I remember correctly, sorry to cut you off,
No.
I think you had said you were even impacted personally, or someone you know was impacted personally by
Yes.
something in
Well,
regards to this.
growing up, again, I grew up in rural Nebraska, where back when I lived out in the middle of a cornfield outside of Lexington, they didn't have road numbers like they do now.
Right.
So a lot of times it was easier to give the emergency team markers along the way on how to get to where you're at.
Sure.
So response time was really slow. So I've experienced that working at Granite City here in Omaha. Just response times getting to the restaurant, and we had units just right not that far around from us. So the response time, them getting to the restaurant when there's an emergency, sometimes took a little bit longer than it should when they're just down the street.
Yeah.
And nothing against them, it's the system that we have. Lincoln just recently passed a $2.3 million program where they're updating the dispatch system.
So emergency response times. So
Yes.
you said they're obviously slower in rural parts of
Yeah.
the state, but also you said Lincoln is trying to up theirs, and you said even in Omaha the response time wasn't adequate in your opinion.
Yes.
So what? Touch
And
on
again, that's
some of the things.
not due to anything that's their fault. It's
The
just
system's
how the
behind.
systems exactly.
Okay, and so for someone that knows nothing about the systems behind, I just know
It's just
The
it's
guy-
outdated.
Okay.
So they're working on the next.
floppy disk outdated or
Pretty
like
much,
CDs.
yep.
Okay.
They might be in the CDs at
Okay.
this point. It's because you got find somebody.
Sure.
Floppy disk, it's a little bit harder to find.
A little bit.
But no, Lincoln passed the $2.3 million project where they're updating their dispatch system so that the new system will be able to find the closest unit to wherever the emergency's at. Where right now the dispatcher has to find, I believe the dispatcher has to find the nearest unit due to tower pings, if I read the article correctly. Now the system will help be able to find the closest unit and send them off. So where my issue at the restaurant could have been them getting a hold of the closest unit, now the system will just take care of that for them.
Gotcha.
If I'm reading the reports correctly. I mean,
There's so much.
I've only just found out about it, so.
There's so much that goes into Public Service Commission.
Yes.
I mean, you even mentioned ride shares.
Yeah.
So, like, if you get into office, you would be surely not talking to Uber, like, directly? Like, how does that conversation work?
I'm guessing that they would be working because I haven't done it yet.
Mhm.
So I'm guessing it would be just like as if you're running a business of any type, where you reach out to their
Delegation.
and
whichever
then,
person.
and then take care of, you know, the third, I call him the middleman.
Yeah.
That relays the message from the conversation that you have.
Gosh. Okay. And so
But
why
yes.
why this position? Why not senator? Why not school board? Why not NRT? What makes you passionate in particular about? I mean, you mentioned your 3 key issues.
Yeah.
But is there something deeper there? Like, have you personally
just-
been impacted? I know a little bit with the emergency response time, but have you ever been had a major cause?
Personally, no. Originally, I was going to run for legislature in 2022, and this was presented to me. So I did some research and found out how much it actually impacts our everyday life. And with that, I've been the person who's always put my guests first, because they're the ones you want to make happy. So they're the ones that's going to keep your job. So I kind of wanted to do that on kind of a bigger scale. Originally with the legislature, I wanted to help get vets and people on disability back to work, which I still would love to visit with somebody about doing that.
Down
Down the road.
Okay.
But right now, seeing the impact of what ride shares do to people in the service industry, being a manager at the restaurant, I have experienced and seen some of the things that they go through, having to get back and forth to work because their ride's taking forever, or because their ride is just canceled. The ride itself, strictly because of what part of town the pickup or drop off is at. I can't tell you how many phone calls I got saying I'm going to be late because my ride's not here, and I'm like, well, I know that's true because it happens constantly. So being in the Public Service Commission, I'm able to get more hands-on to figure out what's going on and do what we can to make those services better.